A Trump supporter who voted both in 2016 and 2020 for the president is having a couple of regrets and is offering sort of an apology, but kind of a non-apology as well. So this is Hunter Baker, the Dean of Arts and Sciences and Professor of Political Science at Union University. So he writes at this conservative blog, Public Discourse, that he voted for Trump. He voted for Trump twice, and then he's like, oh man, you know what? I think I might have made a mistake. Interesting. So understand though, before I get into it, this is an educated person. Okay, this is somebody who is not the American left behind by the Obama administration. This is a member of the working class. This is not somebody who's been impacted by bad trade deals and anything like that. No. This is somebody who makes good money. He's an educator. He's a college professor. And so he's supposed to know not only politics, but also some history, and he's supposed to have common sense, okay? But the dude got it wrong, not once, but twice, and enabled a fascist. And now, after all of this, he's like, yeah, you know what? Super bad, not good. So now first, before I get into the apology, what would bring an educated person to support Donald Trump? Well, it's pretty simple, right? It's about what they would get in return. So selfishness, a little bit of greed, stuff like that. So now he said that his main reason is that Donald Trump would be far better for protecting Americans' religious liberty than either Hillary Clinton or President-elect Joe Biden. So he's stating one of his main reasons as, hey man, religious freedom. It's my religious freedom. Okay, so I think that Donald Trump, who's not religious at all, 2 Corinthians, are you kidding me? This guy, he's never read a Bible in his entire life. You know it. It's obvious. He's a fraud when it comes to religion. But again, they don't care. They really don't care. And I'm sure some of those televangelists that supported him, they knew that. And they're like, yeah, we really don't care. Sometimes God works in mysterious ways. Yes, very, very, very mysterious. That they would get somebody that's so obviously not religious and doesn't share our values, but we're going to support him anyway because of something. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense at all. But okay, anyway, that's what he says. Now, Joe Biden's a practicing Catholic. And Joe Biden is also personally pro-life. So that doesn't make any sense. And for one, here's the thing. The argument for religious liberty that conservatives tend to use, right? It's a cover for being able to control women's bodies and hate gay people and trans people. And that's really what it is. Dress it up however you like. That's what quote-unquote religious freedom means in the American context. It's not as if Christians are being oppressed in this country. Okay? They're not. I mean, you can make you make the case that there are other smaller religious minorities that are being repressed in certain ways, I guess, in this country. Although, when it comes to repression compared to the rest of the world, for example, in China with the Uyghur Muslims, they're literally being put into camps. Okay, so that's not good. That's repression. You also had the groups in, I believe, Myanmar that were also getting repressed as well. And then, of course, you look in some of the Middle Eastern areas where you've got Coptic Christians that were facing off against ISIS and getting repressed by some of those governments there as well. So when you look at it, religions in America tend to actually have it pretty good, especially Christians who happen to be in the majority. So I don't understand where this whole thing about, oh, my religious freedom, I'm being oppressed by the big bad government, Christianity, it's a big oppression here in America. Not at all true. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, that said, his main thing, though, was like, well, I mean, I was totally with Trump until the attack in the Capitol, really. that was where he kind of drew the line, or this is where I kind of draw the line. That's where Trump went a little too far. Inciting insurrection, a little too far. Oh, okay. So it wasn't keeping the kids in the cages. Nope, obviously not. Totally fine by him. Wasn't the constant assault on LGBTQ plus rights? No, of course not. It's just that religious freedom. Wasn't the sexism, wasn't the racism, wasn't the xenophobia, wasn't the targeted destruction of the environmental regulations or the environment overall. It wasn't the cozying up to dictators, authoritarians like Mohammed bin Salman. Nope. Wasn't any of the constant scandals. Nope. None of that. It took a violent overthrow attempt for him to say, oh yeah, I might have voted for the wrong person. Oh, great. Fantastic. But here's what he said. Quote, I'm writing to offer an apology. The short version is this: I severely underestimated the threat posed by a Donald Trump presidency. You don't say. Wow. Really? I mean, look, how many videos, how many articles, how many warnings did we send out? Okay, how many times have I talked about nonstop for the last 4 years? Okay, Donald Trump's a fascist, he's a proto-fascist, he's an authoritarian. And every time, right, the response, and you got a lot of response, obviously, from conservatives saying, you libs, F you libs, you're over-exaggerating, it's fine. You know who the real tyrant was? The real tyrant was Obama. Come on. But then, you also had some lefties that were saying the same thing. Okay? They were saying, like, oh, establishment shills. Come on, Trump's not that bad. I mean, he'll fight the establishment. And then, when he fights the establishment, it could get so bad that, eventually we'll have a progressive revolution. What happened? We ended up with Joe frickin' Biden. Yeah, oh yeah, some progressive revolution there, where we got one of the most conservative Democrats. Ridiculous. I mean, maybe we finally woke up the country to how fascism has been waiting around the corner, and that's good, but yet not enough people listen to us. 75 million people voted for Donald Trump. That's crazy. That's insane. And this guy, again, ignored all of that. Here's what he said. When some suggested Donald Trump had fascist tendencies, I had laughed at their ridiculousness. I mean, really, the man had been in a Home Alone movie. He can never be a fascist because he's a good entertainer clown. But then said, I knew I was wrong as January 6th approached and the president started calling for Vice President Mike Pence to reject certification of the Electoral College results. This, of course, was on top of the disturbing phone call to the Georgia Secretary of State, urging him to find 11,780 additional votes. Just find them. I don't know. I don't care where they come from. Just find me some votes. Find me some votes. Ridiculous. And at the same time, he encouraged the mob to descend on the Capitol. Again, peaceful protest is fine, but when it comes to, what we saw, that is not acceptable. And so, now, here's what he said. I do not suggest that the Americans who went to the Capitol, the great majority of them peaceful, bore ill intent, but I do think that the president intended to create a spectacle that would put pressure on Mike Pence to take dramatic and extra legal step that would fundamentally betray the American political order and its traditions. Now, obviously, Mike Pence did not have the power to do that. Like some of his lawyers had, Jason Miller had suggested that he did not have that power to not certify the results. And so this guy, I guess, was apparently worried, like, oh, I can't believe he's urging Mike Pence to keep him as president, after warning for months and months and months, over a year, about voter fraud that doesn't exist. How could you not see it? How could you not see it? And by the way, they did come for a riot. They were not peaceful. There were bombs. They found bombs. They also, according to court documents that just came out, that were just released, planned to take lawmakers hostage and assassinate others. Imagine if they got their hands on Well, hell, Mike Pence. They were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," or not much less, Cori Bush, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Bernie Sanders. All those, more the high profile, Nancy Pelosi, the high profile politicians, they would have went after. It would have been a disaster. It would have been a disaster. And so if you were part of that mob, no, I don't think that you had good intent at all. Sorry. Finally, he says, quote, "The reason for this apology then is because the Never-Trumpers were right about the president in a very precise kind of way. They understood that the public policy of a Republican-dominated administration would likely be pretty good, as it indeed was." No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was bad. Again, something that I didn't mention earlier, the things that, he ignored when it came to Trump's leadership, when it comes to leadership style and policy, is that we have a pandemic that has killed over, nearly 400,000 Americans now. It is worse than it's ever been. And the Trump administration did not prepare for it, downplayed it constantly, and even said, "I'm not really worried about it too much. In fact, I want to underplay it. I don't want to. I'm going to do it on purpose. I want to underplay this on purpose because we just want to open up, and that's it. Yeah, grandma be damned. Let's open up the economy already. Like, we're done with this." So that's an absolute disaster. So no, it was bad. Unless, of course, you were really wealthy, then you made out pretty good. Here's what he said, too. "I don't apologize for the votes I cast after careful, indeed, searching consideration. However, I do have to apologize for my view of the Never-Trumpers, whom I found to be histrionic and unrealistic. They saw further that there was significant risk involved with Donald Trump that could very well outweigh the policy outcomes. They were right about that, and they deserve an apology from me, and perhaps others who saw it the way I did, for not perceiving that their concerns were grounded in reality, not merely some idealistic moral fragility." No, this guy's insufferable. And even without me having to do a ridiculous voice for him, insufferable. Holy crap. That's your apology. That's your apology. Yeah, hey, turns out, I voted for fascism twice, and it was pretty good for me. I got things out of it, but whoops. I didn't know it was going to go that far. Oof. Especially since it failed. Maybe had it not failed and Donald Trump had won a second term, the guy would still probably be on the Trump train. But nobody wants to be on the losing side. Nobody wants to be a loser. And so the guy's saying, "Oops, my bad. Even though I still would have voted the exact same way, what are you going to do?" Yeah, oops. Not only that, but he says that they warned me and that, hey, I was just so caught up in what I was getting from him, tax cuts and religious freedom. I get to hate gay people every day. And, and I just considered your warnings of creeping fascism to be, just a sign of moral fragility. You're so fragile. Oh my God. I hate this guy. I'm sorry. I don't like this guy. This guy's a dick. And he's such a douchebag. He's insufferable, smug, intellectual type. On the right, this guy's like Ben Shapiro. All right? The kind of person that only cares about themselves and what Donald Trump gave him. And a lot of Trump supporters happen to be just like this. It's not, understand that this is not, there's a false perception of Trump supporters still to this day. Okay, that no, it was the working class, it's the people that were left behind. Those are the people that, supported Donald Trump the most. No. And, that Capitol riot, it was just the unheard masses of working class people. No, the people who are there, business owners, a lot of them, small business owners, as well as people who flew in on private jets, conservative bloggers and vloggers, and personalities. That's really it. Hell, the Q Shaman guy, he has to have an organic diet. This is not a working class person. Okay? Not a working class person at all. At all. More white people, wealthy white people, supported Trump than Biden. That's a fact. It's a fact. These are not working class folks because guess what? The Republican Party doesn't really represent the working class. I would say the working class doesn't really have a lot of representation. And the closest thing they have is the Democrats, which need a lot of work. A lot of work. But other than that, as far as this guy is concerned, I don't think he deserves any sort of forgiveness for this. Nope. Nope, not at all. He's trying to ignore and downplay his role in enabling and defending a fascist for his own personal gain. The worst kind of people. The worst. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.